Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming CIMA Operational Case Study examinations happening in May 2024. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes for today's webinar. So first things first, I will be taking you through or providing you with an overview into the OCS exam, thereby providing information about the technicalities behind the OCS exam. So for most of you who are part and parcel of this session, this might be your first CIMA case study examination. So it's of utmost importance that you understand the technicalities, understand how your knowledge is tested, because without knowing how this exam works out, you are not in a position to come up with high quality answers, or you will not know how to approach this case study examination. So with that in mind, I will be providing an overview into the OCS exam. And in the second part of today's webinar, I will be providing you with a 7-week study plan. And if you stick to it, you can easily achieve success at your OCS exam without having to spend a lot of time on studies. All right. So before we get into the technical nitty-gritties, let me remind you about the webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for you for the upcoming session in May. So there are 7 webinars and workshops in total, 4 webinars and 3 workshops. So today's workshop is about study technique. So before your pre-scene is released, because as you already know, your pre-scene document, which is relevant for May 2024, exams will be released next Friday. So before we are supposed to get serious with studies, in this session, I will be providing you with a study plan so that you'd understand what you are supposed to do in the upcoming 7 weeks leading up to your examination. And in the second webinar, which is happening next Friday, I will be conducting a pre-scene analysis based on the pre-scene, which will be released on Friday itself. So this second webinar is happening at 6 p.m. UK time, or 18 GMT. And the third webinar, the most important out of the set of webinars which we are conducting, is answering technique, because just because you know what happens within your chosen company, you are not in a position to pass your examination successfully. Instead, you need to know how to manage your time properly. And on top of that, you need to know how to structure your answers. So there's a certain methodology which you need to adhere to. And just because you know your answering and time management techniques, if you do not keep practicing them, you are not in a position to get it right, because most of you might be coming through the FLP route. If so, you would have completed, or you might be partially through your academic qualifications, but CIMA is a professional qualification. So the way in which you are supposed to develop answers are totally different to that of an academic qualification. So that's why you need to gain an in-depth understanding about how to structure your answers, because if you structure your answers, you are spending some time to plan out your answers. If so, you'd gain extremely good marks at your OCS exam. At the same time, you will never run out of time. Most students end up failing the OCS exam because they run out of time, because of that they come up with incomplete answers. So all these negativities can be avoided if you attend the third webinar and understand what you're supposed to do when it comes to developing your answers and managing your time appropriately. And in the fourth webinar, exam prep, I will be taking you through examiner's comments. Before you move ahead with your studies, you need to really understand what your examiner expects from you. So it's of utmost importance that you understand the psychology of the examiner as well as the marker, so that you are in a position to satisfy them when developing your answers. So these elements will be covered in the fourth webinar. And on top of that, I will also highlight what you need to do to have or generate a positive mindset when conducting your preparations. I will cover this in the fourth webinar itself, because as per the CIMA examiner, students who have a positive attitude or a positive mindset stand a chance of passing the OCS exam comfortably. So with all these things in mind, I've covered these elements in the I will be covering these elements in the fourth webinar, and the first two workshops are Q&A sessions. So, these are conducted 2 or 3 weeks before your examination. So via these Q&A sessions, I will be taking you through questions and answers which are relevant for different study areas, E1, F1, as well as P1. And on top of that, I will be ready to answer any of your questions as well. So by the time you are attending the workshops, you'd be done with 1 or 2 mock exams. So whilst after you have attempted mock exams, you'd know what your shortcomings are. You'd have questions. Definitely you'd have questions. So all these concerns can be raised within these workshops. And in the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be providing you with last minute tips with the intention of motivating you and ensuring that you walk into your exam with a positive mindset. So these are the things which are covered in the upcoming weeks. So, and all these webinars and workshops are conducted free of charge. So make use to try to make use of these opportunities provided to you. So, if you attend all these webinars and workshops, it's as if on a weekly basis, you are keeping track of your performance, and you are getting in touch with a tutor, which is the best type of support you need when it comes to preparing for your OCS exam. And as I mentioned earlier, all these services are provided free of charge. So make best use of these services which we offer at TCS. All right. So let's get into the technicalities behind your OCS exam. So first things first, we need to consider about the pathway to OCS. There could be a set of students coming through the CIMA general route. So these type of students had done their OTQ exams. So because of that, they are conversant with E1, F1, as well as P1 syllabus content. So these students, since they know theory, will find the OCS exam to be a bit easy compared to students who are coming through an exemption route. Because later on I will highlight the fact that the OCS exam is a highly technical exam which tests your theoretical knowledge. You'd understand what I'm talking about later on when I go in depth to the technicalities behind your OCS exam. So for now, what you need to understand is your theories are heavily tested. So since the students who are coming through the CIMA general route, since they had studied their syllabuses and OTQ exams, since they had passed their OTQ exams, they'd be conversant with E1, F1, and P1 related theory. So because of that, your life is going to be a bit easy when it comes to attempting the OCS exam. On the other hand, you have, you'd see another set of students who are coming through the FLP route or the finance leadership program. So those type of students who are coming through the exemption route, as I mentioned earlier, might have completed their academic qualifications, or they are halfway through a finance degree or a bachelor's program. So these type of students, mostly these type of students encounter knowledge gaps when it comes to attempting the CIMA or OCS exam, because the OCS exam is P1 and F1 heavy. So you need to really know, your management accountancy related theoretical concepts, as well as you need to know your international accounting standards or IASs and IFRSs. So since all these elements are not really covered in full in academic qualifications or bachelor's programs, there will be knowledge gaps. So these students coming through the FLP route will struggle a bit with the OCS exam. However, you need not be demotivated, because we at TCS, we have developed a study program especially concerning the needs of those who are coming through an exemption route. So if you are coming through FLP, as I mentioned earlier, there will be knowledge gaps, but you need not worry about it, because if you stick to our study plan and utilize the resources as we ask you to, then you'd gain extremely good marks at your exam. That's exactly what our past students who are coming through the FLP route had experienced. They have gained extremely good marks even in their first sitting by sticking to the study plan and utilizing our resources. So if there are knowledge gaps, you need not worry, because we are there to help you out, overcome these knowledge gaps to ensure that you achieve a first time pass and gain extremely good marks at your OCS exam. Okay, so then looking at the exam, the technicalities behind your exam, it's a PC-based examination. You have the option of doing your examination at an examination center, or you can do it at home as well. So the choice is up to you. And the exam in total would take up 3 hours of your time. So when attempting mock exams, it's better to attempt full 3 hour mock exams so that you get yourself accustomed to exam conditions. If you do not practice, you cannot sit in one place for 3 hours and focus. You need to, before the exam, you need to keep attempting mock exams, full 3 hour mock exams, with the intention of ensuring that you get your bearings with how to tackle exam stress within 3 hours, how to keep sticking to the answering technique, and how to manage time appropriately for 3 hours at a stretch. So when you're trying to do this for the first time, it's not going to be easy, because just try focusing on one thing by sitting in one place for 3 hours at a stretch. It's not easy unless and otherwise you had practiced for it. So you need to practice. If not, you won't excel at your examination. So the total time allocation is 3 hours, and your exam paper is divided into 4 main tasks, and the time allocation provided for each task is 45 minutes. So 45 minutes into 4 comes up to 3 hours. So on a task by task basis, you need to have the capability to manage your time appropriately. So when attempting the first task, you have to stick to the answering and time management techniques, thereby managing your 45 minutes. Then you have to move on to task number 2. Once you have moved on to task number 2, you cannot go back to task number 1. You have to remember that, because that's exactly why I'm saying that you need to stick to an answering technique, so that you plan out your answer before you start typing the fully fledged answers. So all these things will be covered in the third webinar, and you'd better understand what I'm talking about and the type of shortcomings you need to overcome when preparing for your OCS exam. So on a continuous basis, in 45 minute slots, you need to keep developing answer plans, managing your time, then moving on to the next task, develop the answer plan, manage your time, and likewise, you need to keep doing this continuously on 4 occasions within 3 hours. And the pass mark which you need to achieve is 80 out of 150, or 54 marks. You need not worry about this, pass mark, because most of our students who stick to our study plan and utilize all the resources which we provide, they gain more than 100 marks comfortably. So when the pass mark is 80, if you can achieve 100 marks, then that's an extremely good score, because the OCS exam is the toughest case study exam. There are 3 case studies, as you should already know: the OCS exam, MCS exam, as well as the SCS exam. Out of these three case studies, this is theory heavy. Because of that, you need to cover huge syllabus. So because of that, this is considered as the hardest exam. However, if you stick to our study plan, you can easily get everything done and be successful in your first sitting itself, thereby gaining more than 100 marks. All right, then providing you with an overview to the exam, information is provided about a fictitious company in advance via something called a pre-scene document. So as I mentioned earlier, we are conducting a pre-scene analysis next Friday. So your pre-scene document will be released next Friday. So in this pre-scene document, the examiner gives you information about a fictitious company which is based in a fictitious country and a fictitious industry. So your pre-scene document will be divided into 4 main elements. First things first, in the first part, the examiner will give you an introduction into the company, what this company is about what it had been doing in the past, about its history and whatnot. And in the second part of the pre-scene, the internal dynamics of the company will be highlighted, thereby mentioning about what happens with regards to manufacturing operations, what happens, what type of suppliers we are dealing with, how do we manage our inventories, raw material, packaging material, components, likewise, different types of inventories, how we manage them. And on top of that, the examiner will give you an indication about what happens within the sales department of your chosen company and the finance department, HR department. If there's an IT department, the examiner will tell you about what happens within the IT department. So in the second part of your pre-scene, the internal dynamics of your chosen company will be provided. In the third part of the pre-scene, industry dynamics will be provided so that you really understand what type of stakeholders the company is dealing with, what type of competitors are there, and what type of suppliers are we dealing with, what type of customers, what type of sales channels are we using when selling our products, and whatnot, the industry growth rates, whether we are selling in different countries, so are we only selling in the home country. All these different types of information will be provided within the third part, thereby giving you a gist about industry dynamics. And in the fourth and final part of your pre-scene document, the financial statements of your chosen company will be provided. So the SOPL, or the statement of profit and loss, the statement of financial position or the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows will be provided along with the budgets for the next year. So all these information will give you an understanding about, if you analyze it appropriately, you are in a position to gain an understanding about the financial standing of the company, as well as its financial targets or budgets which the company is trying to achieve in the next year. So all this information, as I mentioned earlier, gives you an in-depth overview into a company, a fictitious company, which is based in a fictitious country and a fictitious industry. So utilizing your knowledge about your company, the examiner is trying to make sure that you have the capability to address issues or questions relating to the operations of the company. So as you know, any given organization is divided into three main parts. If you look at the organizational structure, any given organization consists of three main elements. At the very top, you get the strategic level. That's where the board members are. And in the middle, you get the middle level management or tactical level. So these tactical level guys are involved with linking up the top level of the organization to the bottom. And at the very bottom, you get the operational level employees. So the strategic level guys are involved with decision making. So their view is about the long term. So they adopt something called an outside-in approach when it comes to decision making. So before arriving at decisions which affects the company in the long term, the board members or those who are involved with strategic decision making, they'll think about how our decisions will affect different players within the industry, how our competitors will react, how our suppliers will react, how our customers will react, and whatnot. So that happens at the very top of the organization. However, you are not located at the very top. You are not part and parcel of the board of the company. Instead, you are at the lowest level of the organization. You are at the operational level. As an individual or an employee who is working at the operational level of the company, you are involved with implementing the decisions which are arrived at by the board members. So the board members come up with decisions. Your role is to implement these decisions. So when it comes to implementing decisions, you are not supposed to be involved with decision making. Instead, you are supposed to whenever your thoughts are requested, or whenever your help is sought by your managers, you are supposed to provide information to them. So rather than being involved with decision making, you are supposed to be involved with assisting with decision making. So you are supposed to provide assistance to your managers rather than coming up with your own decisions. All right. So your knowledge pertaining to any type of issues faced by the company, as well as any type of opportunities the company is trying to exploit, will be tested, considering the fact that you are at the lowest level of the organization, or you are at the operational level of the organization. So when providing your answers or suggestions, you need to show to the examiner that you have an appropriate level of knowledge about the company. So that's exactly why you need to really understand what's highlighted within the pre-scene document. So you need to understand about the internal dynamics. the external dynamics of your chosen company, as well as what's depicted in their budgets and the financial statements. So if you are not too aware about what happens within the company, particularly if you're not too aware about the internal dynamics, as well as what's mentioned within the budgets and financial reports, then you are not in a position to come up with answers which are relevant to your chosen company. So that's one element. So the examiner is trying to understand whether you have an appropriate level of knowledge about the company, as well as the examiner is trying to understand whether you have the ability to apply your knowledge when developing your answers. So when developing answers, you need to utilize the knowledge which you have gained by going through E1, F1, and P1 syllabi. So as I mentioned earlier, out of these three syllabus elements, F1 and P1 is heavily tested. So your, as I mentioned earlier, your exam is theory heavy. So F1 and P1 related elements will be tested. So if you're not too conversant with management accountancy, if you're not too conversant with financial accountancy, then you cannot pass this exam. Okay, so that's how it is. And let's look at your role. You are playing the role of a finance officer who is at the lowest level of the organization, or who is at the operational level of the organization. So as the finance officer, you would be reporting to a finance manager. So whenever the finance manager has or needs your opinions about something, he or she will send you an email, just like in a real life corporate environment. So the CIMA examiner, that's why we call CIMA a professional qualification as opposed to an academic qualification. In an academic qualification, your knowledge is tested via presentations, assignments, as well as short exams. However, in this scenario at CIMA, since it's a professional qualification, your knowledge is tested in a practical manner. So the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment when testing your knowledge. So when you go through the mock exams, you'd understand what I'm talking about. So when developing questions or when throwing questions at you, it's as if you are receiving an email from your finance manager or some other different type of a manager of your chosen company. And considering what appears within the email, considering the information presented in the scenario, you are supposed to come up with your answers. So when coming up with your answers, you are supposed to carry out evaluations or provide your suggestions. Sometimes you might have to provide recommendations as well. However, the only type of recommendations which you need to provide are based on key performance indicators. So when developing your answers, if you are to come up with high quality answers, you need to utilize your theoretical knowledge especially pertinent to F1 and P1 related syllabi. So there could be a question which tests your understanding about IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. So you'd receive an email from your finance manager, and the finance manager will say, okay, look here, we are going to purchase an asset. The value of it is this. We are spending this much for transportation. We are spending this much for installation and testing, and we are spending this much for training and development. We are modifying the dispatch manufacturing area with the intention of fixing this machine. So all these different types of costs which are related to purchasing this machine will be provided. And considering all this information, you are supposed to suggest how the asset should be valued within the financial statements of your chosen company. So when providing your answer, you need to utilize your knowledge pertinent to IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. In the same question, your finance manager would ask, okay, how are we supposed to depreciate this machine? So when depreciating the machine, you need to utilize your knowledge pertaining to IAS 16 property, plant and equipment again. And there could be a question about disposing a set of machines. So when disposing these machines, how are we supposed to treat it within our financial statements? That would be the requirement. And when developing your answer, you need to utilize your knowledge again about IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, as well as IFRS 5 non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. So that's how F1 related knowledge will be tested. And there might be a question about a decision tree. So you know, um, we are trying to take a decision which comes up with different types of options, and uh, a decision tree will be provided. Based on the decision tree, you are supposed to recommend the most prudent action, or the most prudent type of recommendation which we need to adhere to. So then such a question tests your understanding about decision trees, which comes in the P1 syllabus. So likewise, different syllabus elements are tested in a practical manner. So if you are not too conversant with IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, you are not in a position to come up with a successful answer. If you are not conversant with decision trees, then you cannot come up with an accurate answer. So when, being part and parcel of an academic qualification, when doing up your assignments or preparing for your presentations, you'd have some time to conduct your own research. But at the OCS exam, that is not the case. You have to sit in one place for 3 hours at a stretch. You cannot refer to any study material and whatnot. You cannot conduct your own research. Instead, you have to keep moving forward on a in 4 45-minute windows. So this is not easy. However, if you stick to our study plan and utilize our resources, you can easily gain extremely good marks for your OCS exam. So as a finance officer, since you are at the lowest level of the organization, moderate level of application will be tested, and application and practical thinking is expected for the OCS exam. Or in other terms, theories will be heavily tested because you are involved with day-to-day running of the company. So as an individual who's involved with the day-to-day running of the company, or as an individual who's involved with implementing the decisions made at the strategic level, you need to know your theories when coming up with your suggestions. And practical decision making is extremely limited. The only type of decision making which you are supposed to be involved with is with regards to recommending and justifying KPIs. Other than that, you need not provide any recommendations or arrive at any decisions why you are at the lowest level of the organization. Rather than providing your recommendations, you are supposed to assist decision makers. That's what your role is. Okay, then let's look at what you are supposed to fulfill in the upcoming 7 weeks. This is your to-do list. So first things first, you need to read the pre-scene document. As I mentioned earlier, next Friday, the pre-scene will be released. So rather than trying to go through the pre-scene document on your own and trying to understand what's mentioned within it, it's better to read the annotated pre-scene which we provide at TCS. So your pre-scene document looks something like this. However, we have come up with additions to the normal pre-scene document. We have come up with annotations. So these annotations, by going through these annotations, you'd gain an in-depth understanding about what happens within the company, its industry, as well as what's depicted within the financial statements and their budgets. And these annotations, which you can see throughout the pre-scene document, ensures that these annotations are a good summary. So rather than you trying to evaluate what happens within the company, simply read through these annotations, then you'd understand what's affecting the company and which areas you need to focus on when conducting your preparations. Because as part of these annotations, we have also highlighted probable areas or syllabus content which can be tested. And on top of that, any hints, if there are any hints about probable exam scenarios which can be tested at your real exam, these scenarios or hints will be provided as part and parcel of these annotations as well. So if you go through these annotations, it's like a good study summary or a mind map, which will make your life easy, rather than going through 25 pages and trying to remember the most important points highlighted within the pre-scene. Simply refer to the annotations, then you'd know which of the information are relevant and you can leave out the irrelevant information. So throughout the pre-scene document, you can see the annotations. And as I mentioned earlier, at the very end, the financial statements, yes, as you can see at the very end, the financial statements are provided and the budgets are provided as well, because based on the budgets, you are in a position to understand what we have done in the past and what we are expecting to do in the future. So the sales, cost of sales figures, gross profits, GP margins, all these things are provided. And by looking at the cost of sales, you are in a position to understand about overheads, because based on overheads, you are supposed to, suggest whether activity-based costing or different costing systems can be adopted within the chosen company. You'd understand these things when I take you through the upcoming webinars and workshops. So likewise, the standard cost cards are provided. So all these things give you an indication about what happens within the company. And when developing your answers, you need to be conversant with what happens within the company. So utilizing this knowledge about the company, as well as utilizing your theoretical knowledge, you are supposed to develop your answers. So that's what the annotated pre-scene is. So in order to gain a good understanding about the company, its internal dynamics, industry dynamics, as well as the financial performance, you need to go through the annotated pre-scene. And after going through it, you are supposed to watch the 4 pre-scene analysis videos. So as I mentioned earlier, your pre-scene document is divided into 4 main elements, and focused on these 4 different elements. We have prepared a set of pre-scene analysis videos. So once you watch these videos, you would gain an in-depth understanding about what happens within the company. So that's the best type of resource which you need to have access to in order to understand what happens within your chosen company. And once you are conversant with the company, its internal dynamics, external dynamics, as well as financial performance, you are supposed to practice 5 exam standard mock exams. So why am I, asking you guys to attempt 5 mock exams? Why can't you just attempt 1 or 2 mock exams? Because in order for you to have high chance, high probability of passing your OCS exam, you need to ensure that you go through questions covering the entire syllabus. So as I told you earlier, the OCS exam is the longest syllabus out of the 3 case studies conducted by CIMA. So if you are to cover the entire syllabus, you cannot cover it if you attempt just 1 or 2 mock exams. Instead, you need to definitely attempt 5 mock exams. If so, you'd cover the entire syllabus. You'd encounter questions, exam standard and pre-scene specific questions, which will give you an understanding about how your knowledge is tested in a practical sense at your examination. And if you cover the entire syllabus, you need not worry about being underprepared, because since you have attempted the 5 mock exams, you have encountered all different types of questions which can be thrown at you at your real exam. If so, the chances of you passing is extremely high. That's exactly why the students who attempt our 5 mock exams and stick to our study plan achieve more than 100 marks at their exam, when the pass mark is just 80 marks. So practice 5 mock exams in order to ensure a sure pass at your OCS exam. And you should attend the live webinars and workshops which we are conducting. So we are conducting 4 webinars as well as 3 workshops. All these webinars and workshops are conducted free of charge. So make sure to attend them, so that you can keep track of your performance on a weekly basis, and you can get in touch with a tutor, which is going to be extremely beneficial. Not right now, but from next week onwards, you'd understand how beneficial these webinars and workshops are, and how beneficial it is for you to keep in touch with a tutor on a weekly basis. Then you are supposed to refer to a set of slides as well, with the intention of better understanding what's highlighted within the pre-scene document. So you need to refer to a set of industry analysis slides. So as an individual who is working for this company at the lowest level, you need to know about what happens within your chosen company's industry. So the best way to understand these elements are by going through our industry analysis slides, which we have prepared. So these are a set of industry analysis slides which were prepared for a previous case study, precisely last time's or last exam sittings case study. So if you go through this set of slides, in a jiffy or in just 15 minutes, you are in a position to understand what happens within your chosen industry, which is going to be extremely beneficial at your exam. So our industry analysis slides are divided into 4 main elements. We are providing an overview into the industry, thereby defining what the industry is. And we are also highlighting about the competitive landscape, what type of competitors are out there, what the growth rates and whatnot are. Then we are also highlighting the industry trends. It's of utmost importance that you understand the industry trends, because based on these, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. So you can easily understand industry trends by going through these set of slides. And at the very end, real world examples are provided based on two real life companies, with the intention of ensuring that you really understand what happens within this industry in the real world, which is gonna improve your knowledge about your chosen industry. So we have provided the market definition. Then the market dynamics based on real life dynamics have been highlighted, the competitive landscape, the type of segmentation, industry trends based on which scenarios will be thrown at you at your exam, as well as at the very end, information about two real life companies, so that you better understand what type of company you are dealing with. And on top of that, you are supposed to go through the financial analysis slides as well, because as I mentioned earlier, at the very end of your pre-seen document, financial statements are provided. So rather than trying to remember all these numbers, it's better to simply focus on the areas which gives you an indication about where the company stands in a financial sense. So with that in mind, we have developed these slides, thereby covering financial analysis. So the SOPL is provided as part of your pre-seen document, and an analysis had been carried out, and all the main elements have been highlighted as annotations. And within these annotations, we have evaluated each element in an understandable manner. We have kept things simple so that you can easily remember and understand what's depicted within the statement of profit and loss. And the same could be said about the statement of financial position or the balance sheet as well. So the most important elements have been taken out, and each element had been evaluated, and we have kept it simple so that this can be considered as a good mind map. This referring to this set of slides will ensure that you really understand about what happens within the company as depicted in the SOFP, and the statement of cash flows had been evaluated in a similar manner as well. And at the very end, a ratio analysis had been conducted, and each ratio is evaluated again in depth, yet we have kept things simple so that you can easily understand what's depicted within these financial statements of your chosen company. So you need not conduct your own industry analysis, because I consider it to be a waste of time, since this is probably for most of you, this is the first CIMA case studies. Because of that, you are not in a position to come up with accurate research pertinent to industry dynamics. Rather than you trying to analyze the financial statements on your own, it's better to stick to or refer to the financial analysis slides which we prepare. And on top of that, rather than you trying to analyze the entire pre-seen document, it's better to stick to the annotations or the evaluations which we have provided. Okay, so you need to refer to the industry analysis slides, financial analysis slides, and the top 10 issue slides as well. These top 10 issue slides will indicate the type of scenarios or the most probable scenarios which can be tested at your exam. And you'd also gain access to theory recap slides of E1, F1, and P1, especially if you are coming through the exemption route. You need to refer to these theory recaps. And on top of that, even if you are coming through the CIMA general route, it's better to brush up your knowledge considering these theoretical elements before you start attempting your mock exams. So with that in mind, we have developed these theory recap slides. So you have to go through these as well. Then you have to watch 20 pre-recorded master classes. So as I mentioned earlier, we have developed 5 exam standard mock exams, which are pre-seen specific as well. So each mock exam, just like in your real exam, each mock exam consists of 4 main tasks. So 4 tasks in each mock exam into 5 mock exams comes up to 20 tasks in total. So for each task, covering each task, we have developed a set of master classes, 20 master classes in total. So if you watch these master classes, you are in a position to understand the logic behind each answer, as well as learn theory and improve your application skills. As a finance officer, it's of utmost importance that you really learn theory. Just because you are conversant with theory, you cannot come up with good answers. You need to have the understanding with regards to how to apply this theory when developing your answers. So in order to improve these elements, you have to watch the master classes, especially if you are coming through the exemption route, or if you had failed your OCS exam previously. And you are supposed to refer to the answer plans of all mocks 1 to 5. No other service provider is giving you this set of answer plans. So this is what an answer plan looks like. So usually you'd gain access to mock exams and its suggested answers. We have gone a step further. We are providing a summary of the entire answer of all the 5 mock exams which we have developed. So rather than you having to read through pages and pages of suggested answers, if you simply go through these summaries which we have developed based on the suggested answers, you can easily understand the structure of the answer, the logic behind the answer, and how theoretical elements had been brought in, thereby ensuring that you gain marks for theory application, as well as you gain full marks for structuring your answer appropriately. So if there are discrepancies or issues when it comes to developing your answers, after attempting a mock exam, you are simply supposed to refer to the answer plans which were provided. Then you are in a position to really understand what your shortcomings are. Then you'd know how to improve answer structuring, or how to improve your theoretical knowledge as well as application skills. So everything is provided in a summarized form so that you can easily understand the logic behind each answer, the structure, the theoretical elements which had been considered, and how these theories had been applied considering the information presented in each and every scenario. So you have to refer to these answer plans of mocks 1 to 5. And on top of that, we provide personalized tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. So out of the 5 mocks, the first 2 mocks are there to get your bearings with answering and time management techniques. You'd understand these things after you had attended webinar number 3. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you are to succeed, you need to know how to structure your answers, how to plan out your answers, and on top of that, be conversant about how to manage your time appropriately. So in order to get these things right, just because you attend the 3rd webinar, you are not in a position to implement these strategies at your real exam. Instead, you need to keep practicing these answering and time management techniques to get it right. So that's why we are not providing tutor feedback for the first 2 mocks, because you'd struggle with the answering and time management techniques. So the first 2 mocks are allocated to ensure that you get your bearings with answering and time management techniques. And once you are conversant with these technicalities, then from mock 3 onwards, you would see a significant improvement in your answers, as well as the way in which you structure your answers. So that's exactly why, focused on mocks 3, 4, and 5, we are providing tutor feedback. So let me quickly show you the type of feedback we provide at TCS. So this is an answer script of a student who attempted the exam in the last sitting. As you can see, in-depth evaluations have been provided on a paragraph by paragraph basis, thereby highlighting if there are any shortcomings. I've provided solutions for each shortcoming, and if the answer is okay, or the quality is good, then I've indicated that as well. So throughout the answer script, you can see the type of feedback which we have provided. And at the very end, mark allocations are provided on a subtask by subtask basis. And we have gone a step further, and we have come up with a success rate as well, which indicates the subtasks in which your performance was not up to the required level of standard. So if you look at this student's answer script, or the feedback, for the yellow highlighted areas, the student had not gained good marks. So after receiving tutor feedback, what you're supposed to do is focused on the subtasks in which your performance is not up to standard. You are supposed to redevelop answer plans. So rather than trying to reattempt the entire mock exam, allocating 3 hours of your time, rather than wasting a lot of money trying to do it, You are simply supposed to focus on the areas where your performance was substandard and focused on these areas, solely focused on these areas. You are supposed to come up with your answer plans. So if you do, you'd significantly improve your answering technique. And once you had come up with the answer plans focused on the areas where your performance was low, you are supposed to compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans which were provided, which is the best type of revision which you need to be involved with. So then you are in a position to again understand what your shortcomings are, and you'd know how to overcome these shortcomings as well. All right. So, and at the very end, the total marks are provided, and on top of that, general comments are provided with the intention of ensuring that you further improve the success or the quality of your answers at your real exam. So these are the things which you need to do. So you might think that there's a lot to get done within 7 weeks. However, you need not worry. If you stick to our study plan, you just need to allocate 7 hours per week for preparations. And after I explain our study plan, you'd understand what I'm talking about. So all these things can be done within 7 weeks if you simply allocate 7 hours of study time per week. Okay. So having said that, before we get into the study plan, the second part of today's webinar, let me quickly tell you about what we offer at TCS. So this is our page for the OCS exam. So you can check free content, because the recorded versions, under the free content, you gain access to the recorded versions of all webinars and workshops. So if you miss out on any of the webinars and workshops, you need not worry, you have access to them under our exam platform. And on top of that, you gain access to one full mock free of charge, its suggested answer as well as the answer plan. And based on this free mock exam which we are providing, I will be conducting the answering technique webinar, or the third webinar. Then you'd understand how to develop answers considering exam standard questions. And on top of that, the type of areas which you need to focus on with regards to improving your application skills. So these are free content you'd gain access to. Simply click on this button to check them. Then if you are interested in investing on our study resources, before you do, I want you to check our sample material. You'd gain access to different type of samples of material which we provide. So it's better to get your bearings with what we offer at TCS before moving on to invest on our study packages. And if you are yet to join our OCS WhatsApp group, simply click on this button and join it. Okay, then talking about what we offer two main packages, the value pack and the premium package. The value pack is designed for students who have completed the CIMA OTQ exams, or the set of students who are coming through the CIMA general route. So as I mentioned earlier, since you had completed your OTQ exams, you are already conversant with theory. So you simply need to focus on attempting the 5 mock exams rather than really focusing on improving theoretical knowledge. Why? Because you are already conversant with theory. So the value pack comes with recordings of all webinars, the 5 mock exams with suggested answers, the pre-scene analysis videos. You understand what's covered within the pre-scene analysis videos once you attend next Friday's webinar. And you'd also gain access to the annotated pre-scene. You saw what the annotated pre-scene looks like. You'd also gain access to industry and financial analysis slides, top 10 likely issues, and the case study familiarization kit, so that you really understand the technicalities behind your OCS exam within 15 to 20 minutes by reading this case or going through this case study familiarization kit. You'd also have access to a tutor managed live chat via the WhatsApp group and OTQ revision cards. So whilst attempting mock exams, if you feel that you have not scored enough marks or good marks, or if you struggled with one of the elements covered in one of the mock exams, you simply need to go through our revision cards with the intention of brushing up your knowledge so that you improve your knowledge base. So these are the elements covered under the value pack, and it is priced at £199. And talking about the premium package, This package is designed for students who are coming through the exemption route, such as FLP, and those who had failed to pass the exam in the previous sitting. So both these type of students, those who failed previously, as well as those coming through the exemption route, their common shortcoming is with regards to lack of theoretical knowledge or knowledge gaps, as well as a lack of understanding about how to apply theoretical knowledge considering the information presented at the exam. So as I mentioned earlier, simply because you know your theories, you cannot pass this exam. Instead, you need to have the capability to utilize your theoretical knowledge when developing answers, considering what's mentioned within each and every scenario presented at your exam. So if you have knowledge gaps, or if you have issues with application, you need not worry. We've got you covered via the premium package. So the premium package comes with what's covered under the value pack. Additionally, you'd have access to the online mock exam platform. So at your real exam, you are supposed to attempt the exam via the Pearson VUE system. So we at TCS, we have developed a similar platform so that you can, when attempting all 5 mock exams, you can get yourself accustomed to real exam conditions. So as I mentioned earlier, if you do not practice under exam conditions, you'd encounter exam stress at your real examination. If you are not practicing your answering and time management techniques, you are not in a position to implement it at your real exam. So our intention of developing this exam platform is to ensure that you get your bearings with exam stress. You are in a position to manage exam stress appropriately. And on top of that, you have the ability of practicing answering and time management techniques until you champion it. So the best way to achieve these things is to attempt all 5 mock exams via our online mock exam platform. And you'd also gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on mocks 3, 4, and 5. I showed you what type of feedback we provide at TCS. And you'd also gain access to the answer plans, which is going to be extremely beneficial for you before the exam, especially 2 or 3 days before the exam when you are conducting revisions within the last week. And you'd gain access to 20 master classes. Via these master classes, as I explained earlier, we are taking you through the logic of each answer, at the same time teaching you theory and ensuring that you improve your application skills. So if you are coming through FLP, your main problem, or if you had failed your exam, your main problem is with regards to theoretical knowledge as well as application skills. So both these issues are fixed via the answer plans, the tutor feedback, and the 20 master classes. And this package, the premium package, comes with a pass guarantee. So what does this pass guarantee tell you? If you invest on the premium package and end up failing the exam, which is highly unlikely, still, if you fail the exam, we'd give you access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to gain or claim the pass guarantee, you need to complete these 3 requirements. You have to complete all 5 mock exams, because without completing all 5 mock exams, you are not in a position to cover the entire syllabus. If you do not cover the entire syllabus, we cannot ensure a sure pass because you are not fully prepared. So if you're that's exactly why we are giving the pass guarantee. If you attempt the 5 mock exams, there's absolutely no way that you'd fail the exam. Even after doing it, if you fail, you can claim the pass guarantee. And the solutions, when attempting your mock exams, the solutions which you provide should be original. You should not refer to any of the suggested answers provided or the answer plans provided. Instead, when attempting each mock exam, do it on your own. Try to give your best shot so that you are in a position to really understand what your shortcomings are, since we are providing tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. And you have to meet the performance criteria as well. You have to try and achieve 40% or more for mocks 3, 4, and 5. You might be wondering why we have come up with this type of a guideline, with the intention of ensuring that you are serious when attempting, especially mocks 3, 4, and 5, because you are receiving tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. When marking your answer scripts, I take something like 1.5 to 2 hours to mark each answer script, and you are spending a lot of money. So in such an environment, if you do a shoddy job, you are cheating yourself. So in order to ensure that you are extremely serious when attempting, especially mocks 3, 4, and 5, we have come up with this performance criteria. And once you had completed all these 3 elements, there's absolutely no way in which you'd fail your exam. And if you do, you can claim the pass guarantee. Okay, so that's the pass guarantee which we provide for the premium package. And the price of the package is £649. You can pay it in 2 installments of £324 each, or pay in full and save £100. If so, the price of the package is £549. So you can select your preferred package and invest on it now itself, so that you can start preparations now, thereby adhering to our study plan. And all products are available until the 31st of August 2024. So even if you are planning on attempting your OCS exam in the August session, you can invest right now, because you'd have access until the 31st of August 2024. Okay, so having said that, let me remind you about the important dates which you need to be aware of. The exam entry closes on the 23rd of April 2024, focused on the exam which is happening in May. So if you are planning to sit for your OCS exam in May, you have to book your exam before the 23rd of April, because after the exam entry closes, there's no other option but to attempt your exam in August. And the exam dates are from the 8th of May to the 10th of May. Okay, so having said that, we are moving on to the second part of today's webinar. Before we do, if you have any questions, you can raise them now. Livanga is asking, can I buy mock exams only? Unfortunately, Livanga, we do not provide this service, especially given the fact that you cannot ensure a first-time pass simply by having access to the 5 mock exams. Instead, you need to have access to other study material as well. Any other questions, folks? I'm going to pause the recording. All right, thank you, folks, for those questions. Seems like there aren't any more questions, so because of that, I'm moving into the 7-week study plan, which can actually be accessed via our website itself, simply by clicking on this button. Okay, so this is the weekly study plan. So we are in the pre-course week, because as you know, your pre-scene document, which is relevant for May and August sessions, are yet to be released. As I mentioned earlier, it will be released next Friday. Give me a second, please. Someone's mic is on. Okay, so we are in the pre-course week, and within this week, you are supposed to attend the webinar on study technique, which we have already done, and you are supposed to refer to the OTQ revision cards and refer to the OCS familiarization kit. So things are a bit slow, because the pre-scene is yet to be released. So within this week, it's just a matter of brushing up your knowledge about theoretical elements. Even if you have knowledge gaps, simply go through the OTQ revision cards to gain an understanding about what's covered within the syllabus, because we have developed a set of master classes, and by watching these master classes, you can really learn theory and get an in-depth understanding about each theoretical content. So until that point, simply revise your theoretical knowledge by referring to the OTQ revision cards. And from next week onwards, things get a bit serious, because the pre-scene will be released on Friday, and on Friday itself, on the 22nd of March at 6 p.m., we are conducting a pre-scene analysis. So make sure to attend it to gain an understanding about the industry of your chosen company, as well as its internal dynamics. And after you had attended the second webinar, you are supposed to watch the pre-scene analysis videos. Out of the 4 elements covered within the pre-scene, within the free webinar, we are only covering one of the elements. In order to cover the entire pre-scene document, you are supposed to watch all 4 pre-scene analysis videos. And once you are done with it, you would have an in-depth understanding about what your chosen company is about. Then you are supposed to refer to the annotated pre-scene, read through the annotated pre-scene once at your own pace, so that you'd revise what was covered within the pre-scene analysis videos. And you are supposed to simply refer to the financial analysis, industrial analysis, and top 10 issue slides, which is just going to take 60 minutes of your time or 1 hour of your time. So in week number 1, it's primarily dedicated towards your preparation should be primarily dedicated towards the pre-scene document. So once you had conquered the pre-scene document, then from week 2 onwards, you have to start attempting mock exams, the 5 mock exams on a weekly basis. So before you start attempting mock exams, you are supposed to attend the 3rd webinar answering technique, because before attempting mock exams, it's prudent that you get an understanding about how to structure your answers, how to develop something called an answer plan, as well as how to manage your time. So once you are conversant with these technicalities, because I will not only be teaching you answering and time management techniques, basing on the free mock which we provide, I will also highlight how to practically develop answer plans and how to practically manage your time. So once you attend the 3rd webinar, you'd have an in-depth understanding about what's expected from you at your examination. And once you know how to develop answers, once you know what to do to manage your time, then you are supposed to attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform. And once you are done attempting the mock exam, watch the 4 master classes which are relevant for mock number 1, so that you learn the logic behind each answer, learn theory, as well as improve your application skills. Then after you are done watching the master classes, you are supposed to refer to the answer plans pertaining to mock 1, so that you are revising how to structure the answers. Then in the 3rd week, you are supposed to attend the 4th webinar, exam prep. And after attending the 4th webinar, you are supposed to attempt mock number 2. Watch the 4 master classes to learn theory and improve application skills, and refer to the answer plans. And in week number 4, you should focus primarily on mock number 3. So attend the Q&A which we are conducting, so that as I mentioned earlier, when we start the workshop series from the 14th of April until until 2 or 3 days before the exam, when we start the workshop series, you should be done with 1 or 2 mock exams, and by that time you'd have questions for sure. So all these questions and concerns can be clarified if you attend the first Q&A. And after attending it, you are supposed to attempt mock number 3 via the exam platform, watch the 4 master classes. And on top of that, from mock 3 onwards, I said that we are providing personalized tutor feedback. So refer to tutor feedback so that you really understand what your shortcomings are, and you are in a position to improve your answers, or the quality of your answers. And once you are done with it, refer to the answer plans of mock number 3 to further improve your answer planning. And a similar approach needs to be adhered to when it comes to weeks 5 and 6. In week 5, you should solely focus on mock number 4, and in week 6, mock number 5. And in the 7th week, which is a week before your exam, you are supposed to relax. So you might think that I'm stupid to say this, but most students out there, 90% of the students, actually speaking 99% of the students, what they do is they'd wait until the last 2 weeks to start preparations, and closer to the exam they'd experience extreme levels of exam stress. They'd be so get done. Give me a second, please, guys. Someone's mic is on. Folks, I hope you can keep the mics on mute so that you do not disturb the others who are attending this webinar. All right, so sorry about that. Come on, people, please keep your mics on mute. Okay, then I was talking about what most of the students will be doing in the last 2 weeks. They'd be trying to find time to attempt mock exams. If you try to attempt 5 mock exams within 2 weeks, you cannot get it done, because you would be simply attempting mock exams for the sake of attempting it, rather than spending quality time to improve your answers after attempting each and every mock exam. So in order to avoid all these shortcomings, simply stick to the answer plan which we have provided, because if you do on a weekly basis, you are focusing on one single mock exam, and once you had attempted it, you are watching the master classes. By watching the master classes, you are going to significantly improve the knowledge about what you should have covered within your mock exam. So it's as if you are going through the mock exam for the second time, and you are receiving tutor feedback. And once you go through tutor feedback, it's as if you are going through the same mock for the third time. And once you receive feedback, I said focused on the subtasks where your performance was low, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. So that's as if you are reattempting the mock exam for the fourth time. And once you go through the answer plans, it's as if you are going through the same mock for the fifth time. So if you stick to our study plan within an extremely short period of time, it's as if you are attempting 5 mock exams, and each mock exam is revised on 5 occasions. And once you do it, you'd ensure a first time pass, because you are in a position to really understand your shortcomings, and not just understand your shortcomings, overcome your shortcomings, because you are redeveloping answer plans, watching master classes, referring to answer plans, referring to tutor feedback. So all these things are going to be extremely beneficial for you when at your real exam. And if you do all these things a week before the exam, you'd be relaxing. You are not supposed to watch any master classes. You are not supposed to attempt any mock exams when 99% of the students out there are scrambling for time, when they are going through exam stress, when they are trying to attempt multiple mock exams blindly within the last week. You are relaxing. You are simply supposed to refer to the answer plans of mocks 1 to 5, reread the annotated pre-scene, and attend the final Q&A. And you are supposed to stop preparations a day prior to the exam, sleep, eat, and rest well. So if your exam is on the 9th of May, you have to stop all your preparations by the 7th of May and take a break a day before the exam. Why am I asking you to do this? Because as I mentioned earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, when you are walking into office on Monday, if you are partying throughout the weekend, or if you were involved with studies, so because of that, if you were up until late on Saturday and Sunday, you cannot function properly on Monday. You would fall asleep, you'd experience fatigue, you'd be in a bad mood. So all these things are going to reflect on your performance. So likewise, when walking into your examination, if you were up till late going through mock exams, trying to attempt mock exams, if you're breaking sleep, if you're not eating on time, if you are experiencing extreme levels of stress and fatigue, you are not in a position to successfully attempt the OCS exam. So rather than being extremely stressed before the exam, as well as whilst attempting your examination, it's better to be it's better to have a positive mindset and be relaxed. So if you stick to our study plan, that's exactly what you are doing. When all the other students are when they are not prepared well, when they are having a negative attitude both before the exam and during the exam, you are relaxed and composed, and you are in a position to significantly improve your chances of passing. So as per our study plan, although you have to, I took you through a to-do list. According to the to-do list, you are supposed to do a lot, but when you look at the study plan, you just need to allocate something like 7 hours of study time per week. Your real responsibility is to allocate 3 hours of your time and attempt a mock exam per week. After attempting the mock exam, the remaining 4 hours should be allocated towards watching a set of videos. And if you want to redevelop answer plans towards the weekend, you can do it. So let's assume, let's assume a scenario where you are trying to practically implement this study plan. So let's assume you are supposed to attempt mock number 3, and you attempt mock number 3 on a Tuesday. Once you're done with it, on Wednesday, you are supposed to watch the master classes. By Thursday, you'd receive tutor feedback, because we provide tutor feedback within 48 minutes 48 hours at TCS. So on Tuesday, you attempt the mock exam. On Wednesday, you are supposed to watch the master classes. By Thursday, you would receive tutor feedback. And on Friday, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks in which your performance was low. And on Saturday and Sunday, it's just a matter of referring to the answer plans for your chosen mock, which is mock number 3 as per the example which I took. And on top of that, attending the weekly class, the webinar, or the workshop. So your life becomes extremely easy. You need not allocate additional time for studies. You need not spend time to go through study texts and whatnot, learn theory, because all these elements are covered via the master classes. So we have developed a set of mock exams covering the entire syllabus, and covering each syllabus area. We have developed a master class, thereby ensuring you learn theory and improve your application skills. And once you keep redeveloping answer plans, you'd significantly improve your answering technique. And if you do, towards the last week, you are simply going through the answer plans, thereby revising answer structures, revising your theoretical knowledge. And other than that, it's just a matter of rereading the notated presin and attending the final Q&A, where I will be providing last minute tips to ensure that you walk into the exam with a positive mindset. Although we have provided this study plan, I know for a fact most students do not stick to this, but I urge you to stick to it rather than waiting until the last 2 or 3 weeks leading up to your exam. Although I'm urging you guys to do it, most students don't stick to it, as I mentioned earlier. And even if you even the students who start preparations 3 weeks before the exam end up getting more than 100 marks. That's there, but they go through stress 3 weeks, because when you try to attempt 5 mock exams within 3 weeks, within 1 week you would have to attempt two mock exams. So that is not easy. So rather than waiting until the last moment, start preparations now itself. Stick to our study plan with the intention of helping you guys out. We have depicted the study plan within the website itself, so you can keep track of your performance. And on top of that, via our student dashboard, we have included performance trackers. So utilizing these performance trackers, you are in a position to understand whether your performance is up to standard or not, whether you had watched the videos on time, whether you had attempted the mock exams, whether you are sticking to the study plan or not. So we have made your life easy. Your real responsibility, as I mentioned earlier, is just about attempting a mock per week. Everything else is handled by us. We have taken care of everything else. Your responsibility is to attempt a mock exam on a weekly basis. If you do, you'd ensure a sure pass. So that's exactly what our pass rate tells with regards to the session which was conducted in November. We achieved an 89% pass rate, and the student got 117 marks. The student came through the exemption route, the FLP route, and was the first sitting of the student. This individual was not confident, and this individual was always reaching out to us after attempting a mock exam, because our mock exams are hard. Why is it hard? Because your real exam is hard. So our mock exams are exam standard and pre-seen specific. So after attempting each mock exam, this student reached out to us just like the other students, saying the fact that the individual is not too confident because the mock exam was hard, because this individual thought the performance was not up to the required level of standard. But by adhering or sticking to our study plan, this individual easily achieved a first time pass, not getting just 80 marks, but getting 117 marks. And this is our leaderboard. We have, developed rankers as well. All these individuals got national ranks by sticking to our study plan. So that's the pass guarantee. That's the guarantee which we provide at TCS. Any questions? I'm going to pause the recording. Any questions, folks? All right, seems like there aren't any questions. So we are going to end the session. So if you want to contact us, you can reach us via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. simply go to our website, and on each page at the very end, there will be a get in touch area. So you can, raise your concerns or drop your message in here so that our management or actually the admin staff can get through to you. And you can email us on info@study@tcs.com, as well as WhatsApp us on this number, which is 7898464196. And the WhatsApp number can be found in the contact area of our website as well. So if you go to our website and press on contact, you would be directed to the contact details. So this is the WhatsApp number. Simply drop us an email, and our admin will get through to you. So I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, because the recorded versions, especially YouTube and TikTok, the recorded versions of these webinars will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. And on top of that, once the pre-scene is released, there will be a plethora of free resources which we'd share with TikTok, which is going to be extremely beneficial for you. So I'll keep you guys informed about what these free resources are once the pre-scene is released on next Friday. So concluding thoughts, approach OCS as an opportunity to learn rather than an exam to pass, especially given the fact that this is a professional qualification, and given the fact that the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So rather than approaching this exam as an academic qualification, you need to approach it in a practical sense. So having said that, it brings us to the end of today's webinar. I hope you gained something out of this webinar, and I hope to see you guys next Friday at 6 p.m. UK or 18 GMT, where I'd be taking you through the pre-scene document, which is going to be an extremely beneficial session. So I hope you'd attend it without fail. So thank you very much. I'll see you on next Friday. Take care.